I think onboarding now is very, very different than how like things used to be, let's say 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So in fact, let's take Bitcoin. Okay, let's compare ourselves to Bitcoin. When Satoshi started, he had no ecosystem. These things were, nobody even understood how the system worked. A lot of people who heard it, they thought, well, this doesn't even make sense. It shouldn't work, etc. This thing will never have value. You can't create value like this, etc. And the connection to the fiat world was very, very tenuous. It was very weak. Fast forward to 11 years after that, fast forward to today, we live in a different universe. So the fiat bridges, the fiat connection is very strong. You can go to any exchange, put in your local currency and buy any token that the exchange supports. That's a very different process. Onboarding, usually until recently, everybody was trying to get native assets on their own platform. So you look at what Polkadot is trying to do, what everybody else is trying to do. They're trying to get people to issue assets on top of their chain. That's hard. It means that somebody who would have done something in one way now has to do it in a different way. And that's very difficult. Our onboarding today involves just a simple bridge. If you have an asset on Ethereum, you can bridge it over to Avalanche immediately. So onboarding now is a lot simpler. And finally, the third biggest hurdle to getting new users is the fact that most people they hadn't heard of crypto. They didn't understand what cryptocurrencies were. They didn't understand what they could do. But these days, it's very, very different. It's different because everybody's heard of Bitcoin for sure. And everybody now has a rough idea that these things are decentralized. There's nobody in charge. And that puts us in a very different universe. I would say the biggest hurdle these days is people don't understand these DeFi instruments. They're very complicated. Yeah. And they don't understand what can go wrong. So we need a lot of user education on DeFi instruments. But on every other front, I think onboarding today is a breeze. And capital is very, very mobile. It goes between bridges, over bridges between chains very quickly. So it's been wonderful to watch this happen on our chain, and I suspect we're going to see DeFi wars play out with different projects trying to get funding and assets, by offering better terms. And this is all good for the consumers, for the users.